I'm trying to leave a G is my push to talk. Okay, that explains quite a lot. I'm trying to leave a little bit of a gap so I can split the VOD perfectly, very rarely. Do you think they should change some of her health to armor so she can survive better? I don't think that's the answer. I think she either needs more health, or because making it more armor doesn't solve the problem she has where when Orisa is vulnerable, she just dies, and I don't think adding, like, changing 100 more health into armor would change that necessarily. It would increase her effective hit points a bit, but it wouldn't change it enough to really make it work or solve that problem. The inflexibility is also the big thing that a lot of people have issue with. I think the damage output she has is phenomenal. I actually want to see, while we sort of wait. Do we get the full outro screen? Yeah, we do. How much damage did we do that game? I think we did a shitload. So Soldier did 33k, and we did 26k. So we're up there. And honestly, we could have probably done a bit more maybe if we found the opportunities. She was built by a 12-year-old. Quality assurance cannot be expected to nail it first time. True. And again, I'd rather heroes come out underpowered and then Blizzard just be very careful with them, because the way that Anna ended up, just completely screwing the meta for like 6 months solid, and Blizzard was so slow in fixing that, it's made me very wary. Is there anything Orisa can do on 2CP if the enemies are on a dive comp? Putting the orb on Genji, like if you manage to pull Genji, it really fucks him up. Genji relies on evasion to not die, so pulling Genji is a really good idea. Pulling Tracer's a bit weird, a bit weaker. But having the slowdown on Genji is great. If they're running a Winston, just slam damage into Winston and just kill the shit out of him, because that really works well. Other than that, it's like she's vulnerable again from the flanks, so that's sort of her weakness as well, where if they do get around her and get on her very aggressively, you'd probably be better swapping to like a Zarya or something that's a bit better at sort of taking damage from all angles, because Orisa is so mono-direction and so easy to exploit with mobility that it just counters her. So try and deal with the Winston, try and slow down the Genji, and then swap hero as soon as you can, unfortunately. What do you do? What do you think? Is it worth Orisa? Is it worth the whole hog to kill Orisa if she fortifies? I love to do this. Kills her extremely fast. I think if you can kill someone with whole hog, do it. Like, whole hog is not usually fatal on a lot of cases. Like, it's generally more of a pushback or more breaking barriers. So if she fortifies and you just press Q and delete her, that works for me. Getting a kill of whole hog is always, I see as a bonus, or you're comboing with like a graviton surge or a nano boost or something like that. That's generally when you start getting kills. So yeah, and if you are playing Orisa, do not fortify whole hog. Let it, like, ride the wave out, and then put a barrier up maybe to try and stop some of the damage, just messing your team up, but put it as far back as possible, and then maybe fortify, but don't just stand in front of Roadhog and fortify, because you do explode in a second. It's kind of disgusting. Which hero synergizes best with Orisa? Bastion a bit too obvious. The problem actually I have with Bastion Orisa is that you are so immobile. They run any mobile comp, they get round you for a second and you die. I really don't like that. I would prefer running Soldier Orisa. I would prefer running just something that shores up the weakness of the low mobility rather than exacerbating the weakness of low mobility. The Bongo is incredibly powerful with Soldier 76. Visor Bongo works incredibly well. She's good on any team with a high damage output. She's also okay with a Pharah as well. Like, if you can Bongo somewhere where the Pharah can get benefit from it, it's like putting a nano boost on Pharah. And nano boosting Pharahs is okay, but Bongoing hits everyone, and you just want the damage amp on Pharah. It tears teams asunder. Orisa Reinhardt is actually pretty strong, and you will generally, like, you will put comparable damage out to a Roadhog in terms of just dealing with their barrier, maybe more, I'm not sure. But you will do comparable damage, so you can really mess up their barriers, and you're actually very, very tanky. So, like, Orisa Reinhardt is pretty strong. Orisa plus other tanks in general. Orisa Roadhog has just a lot of spam potential, a lot of damage potential on it, so make sure that you're capitalizing on the back of that. But the problem with that is that if you're tearing it down with like Orisa Roadhog, then what are you getting out of tearing those barriers down? Maybe Soldier gets an opening, maybe Soldier can do a lot of damage, but to me, if you're running a team lineup that tears barriers down fast, you'd want to have a Reinhardt in there to capitalize off the torn down barrier to get an Earth Shatter out, for example. Like, that would be super high value. So yeah. Again, Orisa is still relatively fresh as well, so it's not fully known how great her synergies are. I think that the Bongo people have underestimated for a long time, and I think it's an extremely powerful ultimate. And trying to find stuff that catalyzes that is a really good way to make stuff work. Do you think there are any maps where Orisa works better? I'm assuming you mean works better than Reinhardt? Gibraltar, she's okay, because she can sort of deal with the long distances better than Reinhardt, and you can deal a lot of damage over a long range into their barriers and stuff while they're trying to advance. You also generally have enough time to set up and just block damage. Other than that, yeah, to any map with like strong verticality, like you could argue Numbani as well for like pulling people around and making sure that they lose control of high ground in a really dramatic way. You can kind of work on that. Now, in general, I just say Reinhardt's the better hero right now. Like, I think Orisa needs something to make her work, but I could be completely wrong. Orisa, horse, cow, or other? I mean, technically it's other. Because, I mean, she's got the horns on the side of her head, which speaks more towards, like, cow or bull, I guess. Ram? I don't know. But she has, like, the hooves as well. She's not really horse-shaped as well. Like, if you think about a horse, welcome to terrible drawing a clock, okay? So a horse is, like, there's the horse's head, okay? Comes down a little bit, and then you got, like, the horse's legs. All right, this is a horse shape. And you got, like, a tail down here. Okay, this is a horse. Okay, that's how a horse is shaped. Orisa is shaped, well, like a fucking centaur, right? Like, she's shaped like this. It's almost more like a camel or an alpaca or something. Not so much a horse, just due to how the neck works with, like, the centaur bits. There you go. Terrible drawing at a clock. She's turned to face us. There we go. Little horns. Terrible little horns. Okay. Let's leave that on screen for now. What are your thoughts on Orisa's right click? OP or just not strong, or just strong or not at all? I really like it. I think the right click is the key component of her kit. I think it's incredible, and I think it's really, really strong. I think people need to learn how to work with it properly. When you see that green orb flying forward, just think, I'm probably going to put some damage very near that very soon. So just don't be afraid to sort of fire where it's going to be and anticipate what the Orisa's trying to do with it. She's very, very strong with it. So I really like it. It's also just great to displace people. It's also confusing when it happens to you, so it does disorient people a little bit and take them a couple of seconds just to figure out what the fuck happened. So use it aggressively and use it to set stuff up. Does Orisa work better as a main tank or off tank? She kind of works as both. I'd say right now she works better as an off tank just because of that lack of flexibility. But in general, it's you really want to... I'm going to have fun now. You really want to be focusing on the off-tank side of things, I think, just because that lack of flexibility is a big problem. And the enemy team should just be able to out-mobility you. As we get this horse in main. What heroes pair well with Orisa? I think sort of cover that slightly. Again, we need more time, though, to really see what happens with Orisa to figure it out properly. Thor and Orisa make a brilliant play today. Our soldier ulted and the enemy ran for cover. Orisa used Halt to bring them back out. Soldier got a pentakill. Yes, this is exactly where you want to use Halt. Like, if the enemy team is trying to do something, just pull them out of it. Just slow them down. Like, there's a slow component to Halt that is very important to understand. That if they want to get somewhere quickly, Halt A pulls them away from it, and B slows them down temporarily so they can't do what they want. Pulling people towards Reapers, pulling people towards Soldiers, pulling people towards Roadhogs, pulling people towards Reinhardt so they can't escape. All very, 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 very strong. Pulling Lucios away from a payload so that they're exposed and in the air for a couple of seconds works wonders. Well, not maybe a couple of seconds, but even a split second is usually long enough for people to get some extra damage. And it's worth doing. Orisa feels better on defense. Do you agree? Yes and no. Like, one of my issues with defensive Orisa is moments like this one. Actually, I have a very nice example of it. When their Orisa sort of bongoed over here and we just pulled back, I think it's a bit further in. After we jumped off the cliff, maybe. Okay, this is a bit too far, I think. Yeah, this is when we're sort of starting to push all the way in. So it might be that just this life... So we start advancing forward, and then they use a bongo. This is when we bongoed, I think this is when we push and win. But they use the bongo, like, all the way back here, and yeah, this is it. Like, we just pulled away. And sure, they can kind of poke around this corner, but as long as we just duck into cover, the bongo gets no value. And it's the same issue of sort of running the defensive Sombra, where the attacking team has initiative most of the time. So you lose that initiative that the bongo gives you, and it stops an offensive, but it's tricky. I'd say on offense, like if you can get Orisa into a decent position where she can bongo somewhere strong, like on a corner, then you can generally push all the way around the corner using the strength that the bongo gives you, and do a lot of good work with that. So that's where like Orisa can shine on offense rather than defense, I'd say. It's difficult to say as well, but the problem with defensive Orisa is that they can just take the time, break your barrier, and then push in. And that's sort of the hard part as well, is that the barriers aren't strong enough to last the full duration if the enemy team just focuses them. You need to just break through them and just smash the enemy team down. Would Orisa be better becoming Gothic Zarya or holding a Bastion turret? I don't think anything would be better with becoming Gothic Zarya. I don't think Gothic Zarya is a benefit in any way, in any form, to any living sentient being. I call the skin Fat Goth Zarya because she looks like a fat goth. It's not good. Holding a Bastion turret would be amazing because it'll basically make a weapon hit scan. Unless she has 2 miniguns, and that would be even better. So yeah, I think holding a Bastion would work better. Do you think the barrier could be tweaked to make it better? The idea about picking it up might work, but it might be too complicated. It might be a bit weird. Reducing the cooldown on it would definitely just improve it in a massive way. The big issue is the lack of flexibility. And I see a 900 hit point barrier, and I think, well, if everyone just shoots it, it will vanish in 2 seconds. And then we have tons of time to play with, and we can push forward. Non-Orisa question. What do you think are the best introductory heroes for a new player to learn in Overwatch, both for improving mechanical skill and game sense? Trying to bring in a friend who loves the lore and design of Overwatch, but has only ever played strategy games. Hey, Lost Crisis.
Lovely horse drawing. I can your artistic skills shine there.
I can your artistic skills shine there. I can your grammar skills shine there. Thank you for the donation. I won't just be a sassy bitch. Thank you, it is appreciated. Doom Monkey. So I will universally always recommend Soldier 76. He's meant to be kind of entry level, although he's more entry level for people that have played other FPS games. But he's a good all-round hero. Fits into pretty much every team lineup extremely well. Doesn't require, like, he's not complicated in terms of how he plays. Like, Genji is complicated in terms of how you got to approach it and break down all your targets. Tracer is complicated in terms of engaging and disengaging. Soldier 76, as long as you're shooting stuff, you're generally doing okay. So Soldier 76 is definitely in there. I mean, he's designed to be introductory, so definitely a good place to start. Reinhardt is a hero that I think everyone should learn and understand. You should understand how Reinhardt works, and you should spend some time learning him. Healer's Mercy is very simple. I would avoid Zenyatta and Ana in terms of healers, just because if you don't know FPS mechanics, you won't get much value out of those. Mercy, Lucio, you can still get quite a lot of value out of those two, so that works out. DPSs, I would say Soldier 76 is a pretty good start. Reaper is very simple, but he's not strong, so I wouldn't recommend him. Honestly, like for a new player, Junkrat's honestly just a good time. My advice as well, Doom Monkey, is just let them play on their own quite a lot, because when you play with them, you'll be pulling them into your MMR, and it will lean more towards you as the experienced player rather than them as the inexperienced player. So just let them play on their own as well, and just tell them to play. And if they find a hero fun, and if they find Genji like the most fun thing in the world to play, then by all means go play Genji and go learn Genji. Just make sure that you're spending your time learning Genji and sort of throwing off that. Don't overthink it, and don't think, well, I should really start on the easiest heroes. Also, don't forget that if you press F1 when you're playing the game, it does actually come up with like difficulty ratings for those heroes. How much those actually mean is kind of, but in general, it's not too bad a guide. Like, it's designed for new players to have some frame of reference of, is this a complicated hero? Is this a simple hero? How does this work? And sort of build from there. A couple of times in there I went after people who were flanked. Genji at the very beginning, Soldier on a catwalk. Halt is good to mess them up, but is it worth to turn and give them a couple of seconds of barrier spam to deal with them? Like the Soldier 76... Like, if you had a split second more patience with the Halt here, like this broke my heart when I saw you do this, and I saw you realize the threat. Like, the rocket lands and you go, I've just gone boom boom, and like there's a rocket coming from behind me, and I think we saw the heal spike here, so maybe you just assumed, but there's bullets, and then we see it and it's like, oh, like. Pulling this guy off high ground is the most valuable thing you can do right now. You just put the barrier down, but if you remove him, he can't do anything. He's just sort of stood awkwardly next to the team. He will die. Pulling a soldier off high ground is definitely worth it. Genji's a little bit so-so, just because Genji has a habit of just jumping back and just climbing back up. So Genji can sort of get away from it a bit more. It depends on the range involved. Just be a little bit careful. You mentioned in the email, Velator, that you have like what you call like the hunter instinct, basically, like the hunter-killer instinct, where you see a target and you like to pounce on them, you like to go for them. And you've given a list of heroes that you like to play, and it actually kind of amused me. Because you mentioned this, I've been trying to figure out how I play and what my mindset is in these games, and I think a good demonstration of where you think your mindset is, at least, is over here. Right towards the end. when you spot this Mercy and you like dive this Mercy, you just go super ham on this Mercy. So we sort of spot over here, we see the Mercy, we get the pull, and then we go, wait, we should really kill this, and then we sort of ignore everything else and we just kill the Mercy, which I think is an okay decision, being honest. But you give this list of heroes of Orisa, or is this the team lineup? Our starting, okay, that's our starting lineup. These are very particular synergy with some heroes that I lack with everyone else. Diva, Mercy, Orisa, Lucio, Winston, Tracer, although I don't play him much because he takes accuracy. And it's weird to me because if you have this hunter instinct, if you have this instinct of like, I see an important target and I can identify that that's the right target to take out, Tracer and Genji are like where you should be going. Basically, like that play style lends so well to learning those heroes because that's how you play. So don't be afraid of that so much. I'd say Roadhog would also be a good pickup if you like hunting down specific targets, just because you're sort of looking for them with the hook, looking to identify, okay, well, if I hook this target, then we can win this team fight. So like breaking that down is like, I'd say with the Orisa play, again, just don't be afraid to just take a second just to think very carefully about placing our barrier and make sure it's in a good location. Don't be afraid to put barriers on payloads. Like, just don't worry about it. I'd say a barrier on the payload that no one's standing behind is a barrier on the payload that only you are standing behind is better than a barrier that is literally behind the payload that nobody's standing behind. So yeah, like just think of it in terms of like what is required right now. Well, if we're pushing forward, can I put our barrier in front of their team and will it last long enough for our team to do something with it, or do I need to put it more in front of our team, in which case let's put it on the payload while we roll forward, and maybe during that time my barrier comes off cooldown so that when it is off cooldown I can then use it for a land grab and throw it forward, and then we can advance forward behind it, stuff like that. So just yeah, and stop trying to pull people off cliffs with Halt every single time when there could be other opportunities with it. Orisa may be an ugly horse, not that it matters of course, but I find her far too fragile and definitely not agile. What are her strengths? Why did this poem go to such lengths? I'm not sure. I went over it at the beginning somewhat. Their strength is high damage output. Halt is a really good ability. She has moments of like incredible durability as well. Fortify basically doubles her hit point pool, so Fortify makes her incredibly strong. Her weaknesses are a huge model, so she's just big and bulky, so once she's exposed and lacks cooldown, she's just going to die. Her ultimate is extremely strong. I think it's really, really powerful. You just don't get to see it too much, but when the Bongo goes down, Reinhardt barriers explode, Roadhogs die. It's like dropping a nuclear bomb on their team, you know. You see the shockwave like ripple out from the Bongo and it just wipes them away. They turn into nothing but dust and shadows. Like it's pretty extreme how good Bongo is, as long as you can protect it, which is why I say it's so important that if you have Bongo available, make sure that you can put a barrier over it, make sure you can stand on top of it with Fortify so you're just absorbing damage that could be going on the Bongo and protecting it like a nest egg almost, looking after it. How do you play Ryan against an Orisa if she's destroying your barrier? Just minimize the amount of time your barrier's up. Bunny hop forward, for example. Don't be afraid to take a bit of damage on your way in, because your healers will pick it back up. There's no way Orisa's bursting you down, so if you're taking a little bit of spam on the way in, then fine. Then bring your barrier back up. Try and muscle your way through her barrier, and then just Earthshatter, because what's she going to do? Nothing. So you can just walk past her barrier quite more often than not, and just brute force through it. Try and tell the team to break her barrier so you could just Earthshatter if they don't have a Reinhardt. And then try, like, if Fortify is down, if you know Fortify is down, then sure, charge her, but otherwise just be very careful about trying to charge her, because she will just turn shiny and gold and then shoot you in the face and you will die. They played Ryan plus Orisa is the correct common choice. You notice on the offensive, when the Reinhardt came out, they instantly started winning. The push instantly went better when this Reinhardt came in. So we've sort of been struggling, and then Anna switches to Reinhardt. Okay, fair enough. But we've been struggling to get this Bongo down and this push, and then Reinhardt suddenly here, and suddenly we feel perfectly safe to just drop this. And we know that we're instantly going to win the Reinhardt battle because our team does 50% more damage. Forces their Reinhardt to respond, and then we can just push in. And you notice how powerful that is. In this case, I definitely think it was the right choice to have that extra durability. Like, it definitely paid off for the team, just to have that extra little muscle in just pushing around that corner and getting around that corner safely. I'd say that it works pretty well. It's just when the team's like slowed down a lot, if you're grinding forward and if you're just trying to out-damage the enemy team, having a Reinhardt never hurts, basically. Do you think Orisa could be made more viable with a barrier teak? If how, yes. I just reduce the cooldown on it a little bit, increase the hit points on it, maybe. She needs something. She needs to just be a little bit better at something. I'd definitely say reducing the cooldown out of the two options is the better option, because flexibility is a big issue in my mind, where once you put the barrier down, you can't move it. You've made, like, you've put your flag in the sand and you can't do anything else. You've just got to be very clear. You've got to be very careful when you're doing stuff like that. When your barrier is put down, you are locked in, and so you can't move. That sucks. Otherwise, pockets for women, hashtag pockets for women, Dennis Ray. Is there any chance you'll make a self-coach today, coaching the one? I'm always critical of myself, to be honest. I could do some on my own video. Some on my own Anna, for example, wouldn't be too bad to do. Just to show people how hard I am on myself, being honest. Otherwise, I think that will about cover it. It might be a bit of a short... Actually, you've got a lot to scroll down through. People spamming like crazy. Let's see. Oh, people talk about Goth's area. On a separate note, what heroes do you think I should start playing or learning, if, or should I just play the ones I'm interested in? Like I said, everyone should kind of know how to play Reinhardt. I just think, like, being able to read what an enemy Reinhardt is doing is very important. And being able to read when an enemy Reinhardt is uncomfortable, when he's looking for an Earth Shatter, and just playing Reinhardt gives you a good bit of insight into doing that. So everyone, I think, should know a little bit of Reinhardt. Other than that, play, like, at the end of the day, Overwatch is a game where you're trying to have fun. So if you want to be the world's greatest Sombra main, then I'm not going to stop you. What I will tell you is that it's a very hard road, and it's going to be difficult. But if that's how you have fun with this game, then I'm not going to tell you, no, you can't do that just because she's out of the meta, or that she's not standard and easy to understand. I don't believe in that. I don't see, like, I think some people out there have this purity of vision where the top 500 should just be pure meta heroes and should just be Soldier 76 and, like, Farah right now for the DPS slots, or Tracer Genji on a dive comp, or stuff like that. When, if you can run something like a Sombra incredibly well, then fine, go for it. And you love playing Sombra, sure, but just understand that when it doesn't work, you swap off it and you change, and you maintain that flexibility, because that's how you get the most value out of Overwatch. So what I would say is also that, like, there's no way I can tell you, oh yeah, no, just play Soldier 76, he'll be viable forever. Because that's not true. Metas change. Like 6 months ago, well, not, it's about 6 months ago that Soldier 76 got buffed, McCree got nerfed, and so Soldier 76 and McCree just changed places. That could happen again. That could absolutely happen again. We could be entering a meta where Zenyatta and Lucio are now the main supports, or Symmetra and Lucio are the main supports. I don't know. It could happen one day. Patch changes come and go. People don't expect it. People didn't think that triple tank was going to be a thing. There was a while in the meta when we never basically saw tanks. And then now triple tank is all the rage. So yeah, like, it changes. So I can't tell you, like, definitively play this. Just have a couple of heroes you can go to. Variety helps. And yeah, develop from there. The other thing I've noticed is that she does not scare enemy team the same way Rogue, Ryan, Winston, or High Charge Harry does. That might just be an experience, but yeah, you can generally, like, run at an Orisa and not feel too scared just because her damage isn't threatening. It's high output, but again, she struggles finishing people, which is why I'd say, like, reducing the it's a big fat brush. So actually, this will work as a good analogy. So, like, I mean, honestly, this little timing wheel is pretty spot on in terms of, like, the damage spread. If you just tighten the spread a little bit and just made it a little bit smaller, case in point. Okay, that's too thin, way too thin. There we go. This thing is normal. So if we just made that a little bit smaller and just focus their DPS a little bit, might work a bit better. Increase projectile speed. Something just makes their output a bit more reliable. Might work quite nicely. What about Orisa on King of the Hill maps with opportunities to pull people off? I'm kind of against it. King of the Hill is a very rotational, very mobile game mode. So it's like bringing Bastion to King of the Hill, where teams are not usually attacking from just one angle right in front of you. Teams are generally finding ways around if they have to. So you just find a way around the Orisa and it kind of falls apart. You could, in theory, try going for big pulls, but like Sanctum in Nepal is the thing that just leaps into my mind, but it's still not. I'd rather just have, like, a Reinhardt or a Roadhog, a bully, or a Zarya just gravitoning people as they come in would work better. For someone who's basically brand new to this game, who would you suggest would be good to play as? Is Orisa a good choice? No, Orisa is not a good choice. The reason why Orisa isn't a good choice is so much is determined by where you put your barrier, and you need experience to know that this is a good place for my barrier, this is a bad place to put my barrier. The right click is very fiddly and very complicated in terms of how it works, so that won't be very intuitive. And the bongo, again, it requires experience to know where's safe, where isn't safe, where can I put it that makes it work reliably. These all take experience, so I wouldn't say Orisa's good for a new hero, a new player. I heard many times about bunny hopping in your streams. But I don't know why it's a good thing to do. Can you explain? I can actually. Let me let's go to my face for a couple of seconds while I load into it. Yeah, I should change account while I do this. So let's go onto this account over here. So bunny hopping is a Reinhardt technique where you, instead of just walking forward, you jump and you lower the shield and jump, and then you bring the shield back up because you conserve that momentum when you jump. And so you're basically moving faster while you are keeping your barrier up most of the time. So you're still getting a lot of barrier uptime, but you are moving quicker. And you're still protecting people behind you enough. It's not perfect, but it's enough to where you can actually advance faster. And getting Reinhardt closer, faster, minimizes the amount of time that your barrier is taking damage, why it's a very good thing. And against heroes like Orisa that put out high damage, actually not sure. Will the practice range tutorial me again? I think it will on this account, maybe.
Welcome to the practice range, Soldier 76. This is a place where you can experiment with your weapons and abilities. In the practice range, you can change your hero here. Let's try switching. When you have a hero selected,
yes, thank you. Go away.
You have selected a hero. You can view their information at
Try and ignore Athena. Focus on me. There we go. Start off. So this is bunny hopping. Notice how fast I'm moving.
Different heroes or try out your skills.
Notice how quick I move forward here.
When you are finished,
I'm going forward way faster than if I just did this. I mean, we could time it. There's meters. We can almost get scientific about this, okay? So we've got 20 meters distance. I'm gonna cover it bunny hopping. Pretty quick. I'm gonna try and cover it walking forward now. Pretty slow. During all this time I'm taking damage. Much slower. And the thing is, what you'll find is the amount you're protecting isn't dramatically different. Because the amount of people that are going to die and the times that your barrier is going down is pretty slim. So that's why bunny hopping is really, really important to know how to do. You used to be able to DPS as Orisa and actually move faster, but they patched that out quite wisely. Otherwise, bunny hopping will be all you would ever do. There's a shortcoming when you're bunny hopping with Reinhardt because you're lowering the barrier, so that makes people vulnerable. If you are really scared, then you can just stop bunny hopping at any time and just advance forward using that. So you have flexibility. I'm glad they took it off Orisa. I got the skin. So with Orisa, you will actually slow down in the air when you start firing, so you can't bunny hop as Orisa. You just move at the same speed universally. Which is nice, because otherwise bunny hopping as Orisa will be the best thing to do in the world. Which is the same is true with D.Va as well. So yeah, bunny hopping, important to know as Reinhardt. That's why I literally loaded this up, because it's very important for you to know if you don't know how to do it. Here's a weird way of modifying Orisa's shield. Make it shootable every 5 seconds, but refresh health every 15. That would be very fiddly, I think. That would be more complicated than Blizzard are willing to use. There's a problem there is that, like, if the barrier's on 300 hit points, and I fire it a second too early, then do I end up with a 300 hit point barrier? That will feel really unsatisfying and really shitty. So I think that'll be just a bit too complicated. General tank question, how much do I body block to keep barriers alive? How about teammates? If the enemy team's on Orisa and she's just spamming, like, this is not going to burst you down. Orisa's never going to burst you down. So you can afford to drop the barrier and just soak it a little bit. And you just keep your eye on your health. You wait until about half, and then you bring your barrier back up, and it's fine. If they have like a Soldier 76, then he can put a rocket through it. So you got to be a bit careful about that. Distance-wise, you got to be careful. Roadhogs, he could put a hook out. Be very careful when doing stuff like that. If they have a Widowmaker, do not drop the barrier. She's waiting for it. Especially if you drop it once, then and bring it back up. What I do as Widow, if I see a Reinhardt doing that, is I will just lock on to someone behind the barrier. Because what you'll find is people think that the Reinhardt's going to keep the barrier up. And then he drops it and you just instantly headshot. You instantly get a kill. So yeah. Do you do console vids? Very rarely. Very rarely. I've had people tell me that my coaching is very useful for console players, but in terms of coaching console footage, there are gaps in my knowledge regarding console, so I'm a little bit less comfortable doing it. We might do some console next week. I'll try and squeeze some console in next week. I think I've got like I think someone submitted a console Anna, which actually looked pretty interesting, because he had actually a really cool question. Yeah, so there's a PS4 Anna that I actually kind of want to look at, because he had a really cool little statement with it, which is that I tried recently to get Anna in my hero pools, and initially thought played pretty well here, but I only ended up with bronze healing. And that to me is like, if you're playing Anna well, how do you end up with bronze healing? So I kind of want to see how that goes. Let's see. I think that'll about cover it. So yeah, that'll do for now. Do you email people back, by the way, when you coach the gameplay? No, I don't. They have to tune in every single day. That's the plan. So I do generally tweet out what hero I'm doing, and I do include the rank if it's just going to be one of those heroes in like the thumbnail I tweet. So if you submitted, like today, if you submitted a silver level Orisa, chances are it was probably you. Next week, for example, if I do this Anna, if I tweet out about a platinum Anna, chances are it's that guy. So yeah. But I decide on the day, like usually I only lock in what hero I'm doing about 30 minutes to an hour before I stream. Oh yeah. So a little bit late anyway, the email will come. Okay, did we get a confirmed Orisa ice cream flavor? No, we didn't. Chat, answer this question for me, because I'm not really sure. I mean, she's got like the pistachio coloring, I guess. Minty? I don't know, she seems very happy to me. It's like she'd be very... There is literally a leave game. What flavor is Orisa? I think I can actually answer this flavor. This question is flavor. We can answer this precisely and accurately, because sprays. Where is it? There it is. There's your answer. It's this flavor, whatever this is. Papaya. Pretty good answer actually. So yeah, it's this flavor. I really don't like how, like, you'd think this would be a higher quality image, but it, like, you can see Eevee's like got pixel light, like, it's got artifacting all around the shading bits. It just doesn't look as clean as it could. Really nitpicky. As someone who played console, your coaching is universal. There's no real gaps in the knowledge of gameplay. Okay, we'll see. I would just hate to, because I think I've done it before where I put out console footage and then some smart ass in the comments was like, well, this hero really isn't that big of a deal on console. And I was kind of like, well, okay then. That's just me. She's eating Orisa's face. Yeah, and Orisa's face is melting. Quite literally. Okay. Thank you guys for watching to the end. If you do want to send in footage, you can send it into oamreviews@gmail.com. The link's been spammed in chat a few times already, so I'll hold off for now on doing that. But oamreviews@gmail.com. The link's also in the description with instructions on how to do it. Include the hero name and the rank that it's been played at. Include if you're a Twitch sub or not, because I'm more likely to pick Twitch subs than non-subs, just as a way of giving back to them. So, for example, today was a Twitch sub. Yesterday we did some non-Twitch subs and some Twitch subs on Lucia. We just did a lot of Lucia footage. But yeah. Otherwise, thank you for joining me to the end. Do come by and watch these live. Pretty much everyone I've talked to who's watched these offline or watched these on YouTube has come by and watched them live. Has said every single time that I prefer watching them live. So they are better live. Hopefully, if you can make it by, stop by, enjoy it, talk to the chat, have fun, and have a good time. Otherwise, guys, thank you for watching the end, and I'll see you guys pretty soon. I'm sure. Toodles.